And Josh Palacios on his birthday cleared the deck. Brooklyn is loving this bucko. He walks it off. His first career homer, walk-off. Josh Palacios gives the Pirates the win. Are you kidding?
Hey guys, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button. It'll help us keep doing this. We offer exclusive content at GetBetterLessons.com, as well as the opportunity for you to be a part of these videos. We think it's really cool. We hope you join us. Thanks. All right, dude.
Glad to see you doing well.
Yeah, man. Let's do this thing. How you been?
Oh yeah, I've been good. In New York City.
Good.
Off-season mode, putting in that work. What about you, man?
Nice, good. Back in Arkansas, chilling.
Yeah, baby.
Chilling, man. What?
So you got the you got the gamer headphones on.
Oh yeah, man. I gotta be able to hear you good, dude. I gotta get my games in every now and again. That's for sure.
Yes, sir.
So this deal, man, it's basically just a website I started that's to help kids. I noticed throughout my career, like talking to guys, it was really a big help to me, and just learning from different people. So I kind of wanted to bring some people in on that and get to experience some conversations like that. But first, like tell people who you are, man. You're from Brooklyn. You know, gotta go through the whole spiel.
All right, I'm Joshua Palacios. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. I currently play for the Pittsburgh Pirates in the MLB, and I played with my boy Ty Tice back in the day with the Toronto Blue Jays. I think we debuted on the same day.
We did, bro. April 9th, man. It's pretty crazy. Not, you know, I don't think many people can say that, but we debuted together. That's crazy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's crazy. But yeah, man, that's really cool. But I wanted to have you on here, man, because I've always admired how hard you played, and you know the passion you had for the game. And I think it's really cool. I think it's something kids can learn from. But
appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So you grow up in Brooklyn. You go to JUCO, right?
Yeah. So I went to Stony Brook for one semester, and then I left to San Jack. I went to JUCO for 2 seasons, and then after that, went to Auburn University.
How was JUCO? Tell me a few stories, man.
JUCO was interesting, bro. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I learned a lot of things in JUCO. I remember first day showing up, we're doing scrimmages and stuff, and I'm like, all right, junior college baseball. I heard Texas like pitching is pretty good, and the first guy that hops in the mound throwing 100, and I'm like, whoa, wait, hold on, man, what's going on here? JUCO was literally no joke. I mean, I remember the competition being elite. The guys over there are absolute grinders. It was for the love of the game. And one thing I tell guys all the time is that first fall, after my first season, I come back and it's a tryouts. So I'm like, all right, about to have some tryouts. It's JUCO baseball. Like, let's see who's going to be on the team. I show up to tryouts. We got like 100 dudes on the field. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? There's 100 guys out here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. I told to the coach, he's like, yeah, we have 5 teams in the fall. I remember those 5 teams. We used to play in 5 different locations at once on a Saturday and a Sunday. Or we'd play the 40 to 50 inning games, and we'd bust the first team in for the first 9, and then bust the second team in for the next 9, and then bust the third team in for the third 9, and just keep it rolling like that.
Dude, that's wild. I didn't know anything about all that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was the jack, baby. We had a plethora of options, and then after that, you make to do those cuts.
You just cut it down.
Then spring comes around, and more guys are transferred from D1, and you got another 15, 20 guys they got to sort through. So it was real competitive, and I appreciate that because you always had to stay on your toes and be on your game.
Oh, that'll make you better, man. That'll make you a lot better. You know, you're the second guy that's gone to JUCO that we've talked to on this this website and these interview sessions, man. And everybody I talked to that went to JUCO is kind of like, man, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I hated it while I was there, but it's the best thing that ever happened to me. But, like, I think a lot of kids can learn from that, man. I see too many kids that are like, oh, I want to go D1 or I don't want to play, you know? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, JUCO banned this, baby, so all the JUCO guys out there. But I was taught from young. I had some good leadership and I had some good coaching that I've seen it through a lot of times. And they always said, go where you can play, because it doesn't matter what the name is. If you're not playing, you're not getting better. and there's going to be somebody better to fill your spot in at the end of the day. So I remember when I went to junior college, the main choice I went to St. Jack's because I knew I would play my freshman year, and getting those reps and experiences my freshman year, again, a full season of playing, set me ahead of a lot of other guys that were kind of redshirted or just watching guys play because I got the experience facing 100. I got experience facing 92 on a daily basis. Like, I got to level up my game, my defense, and understand what the college level needed from me and what I had to do to perform. So when I was doing that, those 2 years, I got a ridiculous amount of experience and reps. And then, like, I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but even when I went to Auburn, I ended up showing up to Auburn as a junior and playing right away. And there was other guys who were waiting a couple of years that had been redshirted that never got the experience, and they chose a bunch of JUCO guys to come in and play than the guys that were sitting on the bench. So my advice to the kids would be like, D1, NCAA, JUCO, wherever you're going to play is the best place for you to go. You can't get better if you're not playing.
I totally agree, man. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's like, I mean, you see it at the big D1s all the time. A guy sits there and waits, and he waits and waits, and then it's his senior year. Even if he does play well, he doesn't have any leverage in the draft, and it just changes the whole outlook of your career. If you can go somewhere and play, go play. I mean, seriously, I agree 100%. 100%.
Yep.
So
that's big.
Yeah,
that's big for the kids because it looks good on Instagram if you're going to this school or that school. The reality is, like, it's all cool for the moment, but if you're not gonna play, you're gonna end up at the mid-major or the lower level school in the end of your career because you're not playing. You're gonna have to make that transfer.
Right.
So get your reps in, man. Yeah, then at that point it feels like you're going backwards. Go get your reps in, man, and especially with the transfer portal and everything now, you go play. You could be at LSU by your junior year. Like, look at Paul Skeens.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, goodness gracious. But yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great point. All right, now how about your time at Auburn? What was that like? You spent a year there. I mean, you hit the crap out of the ball. It seemed like so. Tell me about that.
The experience with Auburn was crazy. I mean, it was like top notch. I mean, JUCO prepared me to handle the minor leagues with the travel and the lifestyle. Like, I was ready for the minor leagues because of junior college. Auburn was like a little spoiling. Like, they kind of spoil you a little bit. Going SEC, like all the games, it kind of prepares you a little like for big league atmosphere. You got the fans out there and they're chanting. They know your mom's name. They know your little brother's name. They know your cousin's name, and they're screaming in the outfield. And the facilities and resources there were absolutely ridiculous. Like, we had nutritionists, we had strength coaches. It was top notch. Unfortunately, there was a coaching disparity, and we had to switch out the coaches while I was there. So the coaches that recruited me weren't the coaches that were still there. But everybody did a great job. So there was a lot of moving parts, but I had a great experience playing SEC baseball. It was a very good competition.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I went to mid-major, so I'm kind of in the middle of those two. I went mid-major D1, so I'm kind of in the middle of those two. I love hearing the stories from both ends, you know. But definitely, like, I hear guys say that all the time. Guys from like SEC schools or other big schools, and it's like, yeah, I got to the minor leagues, man, and it was like way off. It was such a step down. You know, the grind of it can shock some people, man.
Yeah, it could definitely shock. Like, in Auburn, I remember the first time I hopped on a private jet was in Auburn. We were going to play in Missouri, and they were like, anything that's over 3 hours, we just hop on a jet. Yeah. So, like, they're telling me that we're going on a plane, first of all. I didn't know we were getting on a jet. So I remember, like, I'm getting ready. Like, I'm taking all the water out of my bag. Like, I'm trying to make sure my bag's, like, under 50 pounds. And I'm getting ready to go through security. And I remember it was an early morning. I get on the bus and, like, fall asleep. I wake up, and I'm like, yo, what are we doing on the tarmac right now? And I wake up, and then I'm getting on a jet. And, like, we just flew on a private jet to Mizzou, and I was like, what the heck is going on, bro? I never would have thought I'd be in a situation like that at college.
Yeah, and you don't see that again until the big leagues.
That's facts.
I mean,
that is 100% a fact, bro.
I mean, AAA, even when you're flying, you're going commercial. You're doing the whole thing. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so those are some cool experiences there, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool, man. So you talked about your little brother. I guess you got a chance to play with him. I've never met Richie, but
yeah,
I think I don't know if I played against him either. But you guys got a chance to play together in WBC. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, that was that was a sick experience. That was like bucket list. It was cool because actually right before that we played winter ball on the same team, and that was like the first time we got to play together. And then we went straight to WBC and played together as well. And it was one of the things on our bucket list, like being kids.
Yeah.
You know, you're making up your dreams. We were like, hey, we want to play on the World Baseball Classic together, and then flying out to Taiwan and like putting that jersey on and being together on the same team. It was absolutely ridiculous. Like the whole time, I was kind of just like I was going about my business, but it was kind of like I was living in a dream. Like, dang, I'm getting to play with my little brother in a World Baseball Classic, like on one of the world's biggest stages.
I can't imagine. That's super super cool, man. That's awesome.
It was. It was.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was funny though because so it was us, and then it was also the Scope brothers, Johnson Scope and Charlotte Scope. And it's cool because we're playing on the same team, but everybody's like, yo, who's the better brother? Who's gonna have the better day? Like, yo, I went two before. Like, yo, he made a play, he stole a base. Like the whole time it got real competitive of who's gonna be like everybody's just cooking us like, yo, who's gonna be the better brother? Who's gonna perform better? And our family and friends are just if he beats me out and everything, I get fried by my family.
Yeah.
Like they're just flaming me. So it was like, yo, it's nice. Like I'm living a dream, but I also gotta make sure I go out here and perform because I can't get showed up by little bro right here.
Yeah, I hear you, dude. I can't even imagine. That's so cool, man. I got a 3-year-old boy, and then I got another boy on the way. So I think that's super cool. So there's a chance there. I don't know. I don't know if they'll play baseball. I don't care, to be honest. But I love it. But they can, do your own thing, have your own passions.
Yep.
But anyway, I touched on your passion earlier, man. That is one of the coolest things. Like you play art. It doesn't matter if you're in the big leagues, if you're high A. We're in New Hampshire and it's freezing cold. It doesn't matter. I think that's really cool. But what do you think kind of led to that like passion you have for the game and every single pitch you're in it, man?
I think it started at a younger age. Growing up, number one, I got to give credit to my dad, my uncle, my mom, and my coaches. Like that's just how we played the game growing up. Like it was unacceptable to play the game any other way. And then also too in New York City, it's a very competitive atmosphere. We don't have baseball all year round. So when we do have baseball, it's like you have to appreciate the time that you do get to play. So we played 3, maybe 4 games a week, and it was like everybody was all in because we knew it almost felt like football. Like there's no other time to play baseball. Like in 2 months, this thing or 3 months, this thing's gonna be gone. So we'd go after it every single play. And just knowing, hey, like running the ball out as hard as you can, like that could be the differentiator between an error that helps you win the game and you looking bad and the team losing the game.
Right.
So those things was instilled in me as a young kid, and then now I'm just blessed every day. I thank God for being able to play professional baseball at any level, and just understand like, hey, I want to be able to leave this mark on this game any way I can, and this is how I want to be remembered about how I go about my business.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I think that's a great lesson for kids, man. I really do. Hold on, let me put my dog out. My dog's going crazy.
You good, bro? You good?
Hey. Sorry about that. Sorry for the people watching. The dog's going crazy. You gotta get him outside. But yeah, man, back your passion for the game. You're one of those guys, and I mean this in the best way possible because I love playing with you. Like I love having you, having my
Same
back.
here. Same here.
Dude, people hate playing against you. People
That's the goal, man.
it. And I'm like, hey, he's one of the best teammates I've ever been around. Like it's great. I promise. And they're like, dude, you just don't stop. And it's like, I get it, but at the same time, that's what makes you who you are. And I think that's you got to be who you got to be. Like if you're not going to be you, you're not going to be the best you. At least that's my thought. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree. I'm 100% on that. It's like you got to be you, the authentic you, and then you can be free to play. Because freedom, in terms of baseball and pro ball, is like one of the most important things. We have all these self-imposed limits, and we're always worried about all these things that we can't control. And you can let that kind of creep up into your mind, and then you start trying to be a people pleaser. And like, I want to be what they want to see. Like, no, be you. Like, number one, make sure everything you do is for the betterment of your team. And then when you do that, you could just be you in that centric. Like, I have my celebrations and everything, but it's always towards the team to get the guys going. It's like, yo, run hard, do all the things that can help your team
Yeah.
benefit, and then enjoy and celebrate the process with your brothers. Because we only get to do this for at best 10 to 15 years. And then the rest of our lives, our knees gonna be hurting and everything's gonna be falling apart.
Yep.
So be you and enjoy that time that you have while you do it. Whether your team's good or whether your team's bad, give everything you can to enjoy it.
100%. I think that's a great perspective, man. I think in baseball, perspective's huge. I mean, we play every day. Every day.
Yes.
From February to November almost. Like or October. It's like, dude, we are in there every day. And if you don't have that like perspective of like, hey, like I don't have much time, even though it feels like I've got forever because it's July and it's hot. We've been out here every day. Like, you need to be able to have that perspective of like, hey, like, I need to enjoy this really cool opportunity that we get to play this game,
Yeah.
But I think, go ahead.
I remember a story. I think it was, I'm trying to remember my boy's name. And we're out there. I remember we were in Instructs. And we're like, yo, this sucks. Like, they got us running, and this is miserable. And we were all complaining. And I remember he was like, bro, my dad digs holes for 10 hours a day. And, like, when I complained to him about, like, me having to run bases and me having to do catching work, he kind of laughs at me like, bro, I literally dig holes for 10 hours a day. You get to do what you love every single day. And that kind of helped give me some perspective. And then I also got to shout out Nash Knight, the greatest teammate I've ever had in my history. He won the teammate award every year without even trying. But also, like, it helped watching him go about his business and like seeing the gratitude and the gratefulness that he had. Like, when I was younger playing with Nash Knight, I was like, wow, it's somebody I kind of emulated. And I seen what it did for the team. Like, it helped the team. It kind of raised the vibes, it kind of raised the energy, and he brought a lot of perspective to baseball. So
definitely. I mean, guys like that, guys like Nash, like we talked about this last week. It's like, man, those guys will hang around longer than they should, and then you never know what can happen. But like,
that's a fact.
Those good teammates, like you can't put a price on that. And I think kids don't necessarily realize that. I don't think I realized it until I got to pro ball and I was around guys like that, guys like you, guys like even like watching like Nate. We're having him on here in a few weeks, but it's like just how he worked like every day, first rounder. It's like, but he was still he was there talking to you, he was being a good teammate, and not all first rounders are like that. It's just so you guys know.
We know.
Like, not gonna shout anybody out, but like that's not always the case. What kind of value do you think that brings to maybe your opportunities in the game if you can be a good teammate, and to the people around you?
It brings an incredible opportunity because baseball is a game of opportunity. As the more time you can hang around, the more likely it is that you can eventually prove yourself. And we're not going to perform all the time. At some point, like, you're going to be in a tough picture stretch. I'm going to go over 20, and it becomes more about like, what else do you bring to the table? Whether it be running hard, whether it be like being a good teammate, whether it be working hard, that gives you more opportunity down the line in order to show that you can perform. Because it's an up and down sport. So when you have those type of values, it gives you more opportunity to prove who you really are as a baseball player. And then even outside of that, like more on a selfless standpoint, it helps the team. And the ultimate goal is winning. We know in the big leagues, if you can't help the team win, then you're not going to be part of the team.
Absolutely.
That's the goal. That's the goal, and every single level should be winning. So when you have guys like that, it definitely helps the culture in order to head towards winning.
100%. And that's what it's all about. I mean,
yes.
If you're not helping the team win, you're not going to be there.
Yep.
So I totally agree. Now, I do want to move on to kind of like more hitting-oriented stuff. I mean, let's talk about like what would be your advice for maybe a high school kid or a college guy watching this. He's like, what kind of approach does Josh Palacios have? Like what's your kind of thought process is it different for every pitcher? Like what's your approach going into the box?
So it's definitely different for every pitcher. I kind of set it up as I have an approach and I also have a plan. And my approach is what is best for me. Like, what pitches do I hit best? What zones do I hit best? How do I put myself in the best situation to be a hitter? So say for you're a lefty and you're looking for up and away pitches. Like, all right, I know that my strength may be up and away or away in total. Now I'm going to set up my whole plan against this pitcher to work towards my approach. So then I'll go, all right, this pitcher is a lefty. He throws fastball or sinkers in and sliders away. My best chance of hitting the ball hard is on the weight standpoint. So now I'm going up there, maybe sitting for the slider and looking for points that he's like picking up a point of, all right, if it starts here, it's going to end in my hitting zone. And if it starts here, it won't. Right. And that's kind of how I try to separate the two. So it starts with like, hey, what am I really good at? The second is what pitches am I going to hit best off of him in what zones? And the third is what zones do these pitches have to start in, which is probably the most crucial one. Because if you're swinging at balls that you can't hit hard, you're pretty much giving the pitcher a one-up and you're giving them outs with ease, like you're giving away at bats. So the ball's got to be in the zone that you're looking for it to start in order for it to end in the zone that you want to hit the ball in.
Right, makes sense. I mean, so, like, basically, like, for kids, like, you got to know yourself, like, first of all, right? If you don't know, like, who you are and what you can do, you're way behind the eight ball as far as making a play against a good pitcher. Is that kind of, like, where you're getting at with like, know myself, know my own strengths?
Yes, 100%. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and if you don't, you're probably not challenging yourself enough. And that's what I tell high school guys. You have to challenge yourself enough to understand where your strengths and your weaknesses are. Because challenge is everything. We go in the box, we're going to get challenged. Some of you high school guys are probably not getting challenged at all because you're that good. But go and make sure that your work challenges you to a level where you feel uncomfortable. And that's when you really get to know yourself.
100%. I mean, that's a common theme with guys we've had on here, too, saying that, like, and I totally agree. Like if I'm not challenging myself to be perfect in a bullpen, like, how do I expect myself to go out there and be perfect in an outing? You know, like, it's just not going to happen.
Yes.
You know, it's and effort. I mean, in practice, like, because I see a lot of guys, especially pitchers, and I'm kind of getting off track here, but, like, it's like, oh, I'm going to throw in the off season. I'm not going to throw a single bullpen at, you know, max effort. And I'm like, dude. And then you're going to go throw a live in 2 weeks? Like, what do you mean? Like, dude, I alive, man. Dude, I saw you in spring training. God, what was that? I don't know. Giles was there. It was Ken Giles.
Ken Giles.
And I was watching. I was like, you know, really closer. I'm going to go watch Pilo face him. And you took that dude deep first pitch of a live. and everybody was
gotta be ready. No.
Bro, that was crazy. Talking about being ready to hit.
Oh, you gotta be. I remember that story though. They came in. Number one, I was taught never let a good pitch go by. Like, you don't give the pitcher any good pitches. So I was told, hey, you got 5 pitches here. 5 pitches to see. So in my brain, 5 pitches is I'm hitting the first good one. Yeah. I did not know there was this unwritten rule that the pitchers go in and they're not ready the first pitch. But I'm thinking as a competitor, once I step in this box, it's on. No, and I remember I got that first pitch, I let it fly, and I thought, like, I'm happy with what I did. And I turn around and everybody's looking at me like, no.
Dude, I was in the same point as you. Like, I didn't know, like, you know, first big league spring, like, you don't have any of that in minor league camp, you know? Like,
no.
It's whatever. And you hit that ball and everybody's like looking around. And I'm like, what? You know, like, what's going on?
What's the problem, bro? And I remember, like, the next 2 pitches were high, and then I'm like, whoa, you must be having a little control issues.
Dude, that's awesome. But that goes back to you, man. Like, you're just competing. It's like all this time.
You got to be ready to compete at all times, man, at all times. And, like, taking that into prior to that, like, I did a lot of work that off season is, like, with the machine work and everything, making the practice more difficult than the game. So when you step into game mode, like, you're ready to go. And to your point there, like, on the pitching aspect, same thing on the hitting, you can't hit flips all off season and then just jump into live and be like, yo, I'm ready to go. Let's compete. No. There has to be some type of work that's done where it becomes more difficult than the game or puts you in a game mindset, and you're working in that mindset before you actually go into the game, because that's how it translates.
Right. Like, you got to compete in practice. You got to put something on it. Like, I enjoy, like, the guys that I'm lucky to have a good group to work out with, but, like, we're going in there, like, we're throwing bullpen. We're going to compete. We're going to see who can do this, who can hit, you know, whose stuff is, you know, where it should be that day. But no, I think that's great advice. I mean, I think you gotta. The more you can compete the better you're gonna be at competing.
Yes, 100%. Like one thing that me and I've done for a while, and I did with Hunter, the hitting coach of Blue Jays, we'd always laugh about is at the end of every round, like we set up some constraint, but like bottom of ninth, guy in second, like bottom of ninth, guy in third, 2 outs. And you run through those situations in the cage, and then also too is competitive work, and you're trying to get those done so that when the actual time comes, you've been through that and you've done it 150, 200, 300, 3,000 times, and now you're comfortable in that situation.
That's awesome. Man, all right, I gotta bring this up. So I faced you like 2 months ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Me and Riley, and we're like, we got a plan. We know what we're gonna do. Like I'm starting, I'm kind of filling whatever role for that team at that time, So I'm in there, I'm starting. It's like second inning, got some guys on, kind of like a little broken bat, a little flip over there. All of a sudden, Pilo's up, and runners on base. I'm like, all right, we got this. We know what we're gonna do. I always thought you were smart enough to like late in counts, you were gonna sit on off speed and kind of really stay on it. And I was like, we're going up and in. Like we get him to 2 strikes, we're going up and in, and you hit that ball down the line. I don't even know how you got your hands to right there.
I don't know either. That was the God.
But man, what? So like you're talking about like that's quite the adjustment. I threw that ball, 94, 95. What do you think leads you to
that was a cutter too, right?
Yeah,
I remember that. I kind of cut it on the hands.
Yeah, man.
That's a good pitch.
Gosh. Anyway, you hit that ball. Like, what do you think? That's just like just that's something that high school kids, lesser hitters, they can't do that. They can't get to balls up there after seeing pitches away and breaking balls down. What do you think? That's just a practice. Like, how do the game's changed so much to so much more of that and coming in on you, like. How have you changed your approach maybe to be able to get to that type of stuff?
Well, it starts in the work. So it's not something natural like talent. It's literally work-based. So in my work, like if you think about it, hitting, most of what we do on the field, competitive in game, is reactionary. But then when we go into practice, we know what's coming and we know what's being thrown as hitters. So I kind of started straying away from, hey, fastball machine away, and I know this pitch is going to be away, and just working on it. And I started to be moving the machine, like give credits to Hunter as well. I started this years ago in 2020, where we'd move the machine around constantly and be throwing different pitches. So you start to teach your body how to react and work on different pitches. So like it's from the ground up. I work off the tee, and then I work my flips, and I'm working reactionary, and I'm working all different angles. But I'll get to the machine. I'll try to make it more difficult than the game, and I'll put myself in a 2-strike predicament and have to react to moving pitches in different selections and different times. Right. So you build up the reactionary hitting, not the stationary hitting. Because like if you tell a guy, yo, I'm throwing the fastballs on the middle, he's going to be ready at all points. He's going to know what to do. But once you start moving the pitches around, which you do in the game naturally, that work that you did with the machine, the ball down the middle, is not going to work. You got to be moving that thing around. So I just credit that to the work where I'm constantly doing reactionary hitting work and challenging myself, so in the game those things can play more naturally.
100%. So yeah, it's like you're not gonna just react. Like it doesn't just happen because you're such a good athlete and you're gonna react to that pitch. It happens because you actually train that reaction. Like,
yes, and I'm not gonna lie.
To get there.
Prior to that day, I remember our battles. I'm like, this guy's got a cutter, and I went in there and had them move the cutter all over the place, and like started referencing how I can react to a cutter.
Yeah.
So like that work was done prior in the past, but also that day I was like, yo, throw a cutter and have the machine on random. I need the cutter to be everywhere, and I need to see where it needs to start and how I'm gonna react to this pitch.
Yeah, because I backdoor that thing, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I do. I'll throw it. I'll throw it away. I'll throw it in.
Yep, it's a nasty pitch, man. It's a nasty pitch. So I was in there working on it.
I got you, dude. I remember that at bat, man. I was like, dude, I thought I had him. But anyway, man, that's awesome. I love competing against you. We got to face 100%. Each other a lot, just in
all sight. Yeah,
everywhere.
We had some battles there. Yeah, we had some battles.
I really enjoy those times.
Same here.
But anyway, I wanted to bring that up. I had to. I've been thinking about it for 2 months. If anybody's watching this, you shouldn't hold on to things as long as I do. But
Ty's a competitor, man. That's why I respect him. He's always competitive.
Oh, I face you again. We're gonna pull something else out. So you better be ready. That's awesome. That's awesome, man. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you're a great competitor.
Appreciate that.
Let's talk a little bit. You got what you do on the field, and now I want to talk a little bit about your brand, man.
Oh yeah, built different.
So I see
yeah,
that's super cool to me because I'm trying to start a business, kind of get this thing going. So it inspires me a little bit, Like, tell me about that.
Also, built different. I made it between me and my brother and two of my friends back in like 2018, and it actually came from necessity. We weren't big time prospects, so we weren't getting sponsored by all these like Nike and Adidas, and we couldn't afford our own gear. So like, yeah, we're struggling to afford our own gear. Let's start just making our own gear and then making our own shirts and making our own fashion, like the things that we really didn't have. So we started on that lane, and then we got into like we have like a fashion and a baseball aspect of it. And then from there, we was just like, hey, the movement was based around number one, like coming from the inner city, there's a lot of adversity you have to face. We don't really have all the resources that you want in order to try to make it to a professional level. So we put it into like, hey, it's mind over matter. Like the more disciplined you are, the harder you work. Like no matter the circumstances you put in or the odds that are against you, you can make it at the end of the day if you really devote yourself to it and make discipline and the effort to it. So that was kind of the message that we were trying to push across, and as well as the message of like, yo, be yourself when you do it. Like all the stuff you talk about me on the field, that's kind of like the build different mentality of like, hey, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna play as hard as I possibly can. I'm gonna give everything I have, but I'm also gonna be myself and like express myself through that image. And then that was the message we get across, and we just made some apparel kind of for people that wanted to support, and it's been great so far.
Right, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, that's a great lesson for kids. Like, dude, if you want it bad enough and you're willing to work hard enough, you're gonna be able to get there.
Yes, that's facts. No matter your circumstances, man.
Yeah.
And even if it's not the original thing you set your mind on, like we're not all gonna make it to the major leagues, but you take that same work ethic, that same mindset of like, hey, I'm not a victim here. I'm gonna take this and use it to my advantage. You could use that. You might not make it in baseball, but you could use it to become a doctor. You could use it to become an entrepreneur. You could use it to become a nurse. Like whatever you need to do in order to level yourself up from those situations and just better your mind.
Right. I mean, that's a great perspective, and kind of to the better your mind point. This game, dude. What kind of advice do you have for kids that maybe struggle with? Oh, I went 0 for 4, and then okay, the next game I went 0 for 4 because I went 0 for 4 the first game. Like what advice do you have for those kids? Like and kind of at a young age to be able to be like, okay, I can understand the mental side of this game and give them a real leg up.
Yes, don't run from failure, man. Failure is your best friend. We all want to be successful at all times. I know at our younger ages, success is a lot more likely to come by, but failure is your friend. When people are exposing your weaknesses, it goes back to like understanding your strength, your weaknesses. When people are exposing that, thank you for them exposing it, because that is what's going to lead you to growing into a better player and a better person. The adversity is really like at younger ages, we want success. We want to kind of, if I go 0 for 4, I can't go 0 for 4 tomorrow, and then I can't do it the next day. It's like, no. Stay in your moment. It's one pitch, one time, and trust in the process of the things that you can control. Because you could go 0 for 4 and had a great day. You hit 4 line drives in the gap, and they all got caught. And now you go home like, I can't believe this. I went 0 for 4. No. Control the things that you can control. You hit 4 line drives. You had a good approach. Bring that into the next day. Numbers really don't matter. It's really how dedicated you are into your process and handling the things you can control.
Right. I mean, we're all going to have years, even over 60 games. You could be unlucky. Like like you can. Like it can happen.
Yes.
And you could have a year where you hit the ball just as hard as you did or harder than the year before. And the numbers didn't shake out as well.
Yes. Yes.
And same thing with pitching. You can throw the ball just as well as you did the year before, but every little blooper fell in. You gave up 20 infield hits, So it's the perspective of like over a long time.
Yes.
It's going to go your way, right?
Yes. And even with that, it's like the bad things that happen to you, it's not about the stuff that happens to you. It's about how you choose to handle it after. Because that's what really grows you and prepares you for the next level. So like for all the high school kids and younger kids watching, what the difference between the most elite major leaguers and the guys that are stuck in the minor leagues is how they handle the adversity. Like when they have that 0 for 4, they're looking at it from the perspective of why did I go 0 for 4? What do I have to do to work on it? And how can I attack this tomorrow? versus like, oh, I can't believe I'm 0 for 4, and letting those like negative thoughts drown you. So like, hey, bad things are gonna happen. How do you handle it? Do you use it to make you better, or do you use it to complain and make yourself a victim?
Right, exactly. I mean, it kind of goes back to like our bat, man. I'm gonna have something for you. Like, I may have missed that one, and you got me.
Exactly.
But it's like, next time I face this guy, you know, whoever it is, you or somebody else, like, I'm not gonna make the same mistake. Now, like, maybe I get burned again, but I'm gonna do whatever I can do beside the fact that I failed. Like, like, what can I learn from that? Like, I'm learning something. Like, maybe I throw you a changeup next time. Maybe maybe I go cut her in early. You know, like what can I do different to make myself better? Not crap. Like, you know, I failed. You know, I gave up that hit. I gave up runs. Hold
on 1 second. Yeah, we're here.
But you know what I mean. Yeah. Like, you got to be able to make adjustments and get better.
Yes, 100%. And that's the biggest part of it is like, how do you grow from those situations? Because failure is going to happen. How do you grow from the situation? What do you learn from it? Like, let's not pout. Absolutely. Let's learn. Like, let's not ask why this happened to me. Let's ask, what can I do about this?
Right. What can I do? That's the big thing. Like, what can I do to make this not happen again? You know? Like, and it will. It'll still happen. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter if you're Shohei Ohtani and you're the best player ever. Like, you're gonna get out. You're gonna give up home runs. You know,
there's plenty of situations in my career, like you were there in high with me when I was just striking out left and right for 2.5 weeks. And the younger me, I was worried about. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
The younger me, I was worried about like, hey, why am I still striking out? Like, I was panicking because I was striking out, and I was panicking like, oh, my 2-strike, and then I had to learn like, hey, what is the reason why I'm striking out? What is my 2-strike approach? Like, what pitches am I looking for with 2 strikes? Like, what is my temperament with 2 strikes? And start getting into the details and figuring out why, and then you can make an approach to what can make me a better 2-strike hitter. Because we know all those failures in the minors and all those tough times we had in the minors is what helped us grow into the players we are now.
Right, 100%. I mean, it's you can't understate it. Like, those learning processes and the faster you can be like over it and understand like, okay, now I gotta get better. The faster you can do that, the guys that do that the best and the guys that are the same every day, those are the guys that get up there and stay up there, right? Like, it's the consistency.
Yeah, it's the growth. It's the mental growth, especially.
Yeah, and like the guy, like even like the guys that get up there, and you know, like the guys I see that get up there and stay up there. The difference between them is not their talent necessarily. Between the guys in AA even and AAA, like the talent's there. It's that mental side of the game, right? Like this separates people.
Yeah, it's mental consistency. How well can you show? How like regardless of what happens, how consistent can you show up mentally every single day and work on things you have to work on and continue out with your process and better.
100%. How much do you think like routines play into that?
Oof, routines are humongous. Like routines are really big because routines essentially are the discipline to do what you don't want to do, even if like do what you have to do, even if you don't want to do it. Right. So the days like when you don't want to do your arm care program, you're kind of feeling tired. Like I don't want to do my cage routine in the cage because I'm feeling tired. I still go about it and I still get that work in. Right. And then that in the routine also, like alone from it being disciplined, it also helps you dissect where you went wrong. Because if you're doing a similar thing every single day, you can go back to your routine. Like, all right, I've been working on this for the last 2 weeks and this is not showing up in the game. Like maybe if I rearrange this and rearrange that, you get a little more scientific with your process.
Right. You actually create a process, right? Like if you don't have a routine, like, do you really have a process? Like, what's your process? I show up to the park and I play, like, and that's what you do when you're a kid. And I get it. Like but like, as you get farther and farther in this game, like you need to have some like things you can go back to. And that's kind of how I put like the routine type stuff. Like, and to kids that ask me, it's like, you got to have something to fall back on and like, okay, this is what I do. And this is what I do when I'm good. And you know what I mean? What do you think about that?
I agree. You have to understand the process of the results. Like, because what you're doing in the cage and how you're going about your work is what gives you the results. The better you understand that initial process of those things, the more consistent you'll get with those results or results in the things that you can control.
Right.
So like the cage work, like I'm talking about that I'm doing before the games. If I'm doing that 3 or 4 days in a row, and or 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and I'm starting to see like, hey, I'm getting better at pulling the ball, but I'm kind of losing hitting the ball oppo. I could go back to that process of what I did in the last 4 weeks and like, I need to get better at hitting oppo. What can I implement or take away from this that will help me continue to get better oppo? Versus
Right.
being like, yo, I haven't hit a ball to left field in 3.5 weeks. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm doing. Like
Right.
younger guy has that mindset, and then you go up, then you're like, let me just try to get inside the ball, and you're kind of just winging it versus having a detailed plan. So the process and your routine is almost like studying for the test.
Right.
You're not going to pass the
100%.
test if you don't study.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. And the tests are getting harder. At least I think. I think pitching is getting better. What do you think? Like with all this TrackMan and analytics, as much as I can't stand it sometimes, and I don't want to see my numbers, like I have to because it makes me better. And
yes,
I think as a whole, pitching is getting better. What do you think about that? Is in a holistic like baseball sense?
Pitching is getting way better. I mean, like you're saying, the resources and the information that you have, like with the pitch designs and the tunneling and everything, is getting much more difficult. Like 5, 6 years ago, hitting was a lot more easier than it is now. You got the crossfire guys, you got the inside out guys, and you got the pitch design, and the tunneling in itself has become tremendously more difficult. Because I used to be able to go like, all right, I'm looking for this high to this, just like a curveball to pop high and a fastball to be straight and that slider to be spinning. Now they all kind of running out of the same tunnel, and it's getting more difficult.
Right, because guys are able to see on the TV, whatever it is, like, okay, this pitch is not coming out the same. Like, and it just tells you, like, if you don't understand how to read that information, it tells you like, hey, this pitch is way different than my other 3 pitches. Like maybe we need to get something else to kind of tunnel it a little better. You know what I mean?
Yep. But, and then the ad, like everybody's adding pitches as well. That's helping them. Like you adding the cutter and like guys adding all these little different things to throw you off of the other pitches, which has become incredibly difficult.
Yeah. What do you think? So everything's gone towards at least the last few years. 4 seams up, breaking up hard sliders off that, and then a little bit of seam shift, a little bit of sweeper, has kind of been the trend. What do you think? Do you think it's going to continue to evolve? I mean, that seems to be.
Yeah, I think you just look at it; it just constantly evolves. Like you look at when we were coming up, it was all about hitting sinker ballers. Everybody was a sinker baller, and everybody started getting the upswing to try to hit the sinker ballers. And then the pitchers made adjustment, and the hitters make adjustment. You guys made adjustment. Like, all right, if you're all going to swing up, I'm going to start doing fastballs to the top of the zone with some ride on it.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like, oh crap, we got to rearrange what we're doing and try to hit that pitch. So then everybody's kind of getting onto that. And then when you get that going, it's like, well, I'm going to throw this pitch that's actually cutting across. So when you swing for the top ball, it's going to. So it's constantly a cat and mouse game.
Yeah, I think that's one really cool thing that, like, maybe, fans of the game that aren't really, into it and don't know as much, that they don't see. And, I think it's such an awesome part of the game because even me and you, just one-on-one, I'm talking about like maybe something I can do to throw you off personally, but the game evolves that way. It goes from sinker ballers to ride fastballs up in the zone, from sliders to big curveballs, it's an ever-changing thing. I hope we can maybe at least shed some light on that to some people watching this that maybe aren't players, maybe just fans. But it's really cool to watch the game change and how it's adjusting.
Yeah, it's a hybrid game, and it's always kind of morphing around where you could do better. And it's almost like football with the defensive schemes. Like this year, there's a new defensive scheme. Same thing with you guys and the pitchers. Like the pitchers are constantly making adjustment. We're more reaction based, so we're kind of trying to adjust to what you guys are doing. But you just got to give the credit to the players. Every year, the guys are figuring out how to be better at one thing or another. Like the hitters are figuring out the pitchers, the pitchers are figuring out the hitters.
Right. And
you just got to give them the respect for the work they're putting in and the mental energy that they're putting in to figure these things out.
100%. I mean, people don't really understand. I think a lot of people think that we just go home and sit around for 3 months. It's like, no, dude, you already went to work this morning. I'm going to throw after this, and then we'll work out, and it's a whole deal,
Yes.
And people don't realize, and I have I'm sure you have knowing you, you have stuff you want to work on and get better at.
Yes,
I have
100%.
stuff that I'm going in this offseason that I'm I'm going to nail this down, and we'll see where it ends up. But I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a job this really is. Not that it's not the best job in the world, but like it's every day, man. Especially as you get older.
Every day. Oh yeah, it's every single day, and even more to that, like you're constantly just evolving to meet the levels, like the needs of the game, which is the greatest part about it. Like it's a cat and mouse. You never, like for the young guys, you've never figured the game out because the game's always changing. Like as soon as you think you figured it out, you played yourself. Because like, oh, I can hit sinkers. Like I'm a sinker dominator. Guess what? In the MLB, they see those numbers and they're like, oh, this guy hits sinkers. He's not seeing any more sinkers. Now you got to figure out how to hit another pitch.
100%. If there's something glaring in your game that's way better than something else, especially as a hitter, you ain't seeing that, man.
It's a wrap on that pitch.
It doesn't matter if it's my best. Like if it's in the big leagues, like it doesn't matter if it's like I want to pitch to my strengths, obviously. But if your strength is so clearly one way, you're not seeing that pitch.
Yeah,
like
it's
you're
like
just not.
Last year, I remember, not like 2 years ago, I remember I'm in the show and like I'm hitting really well. And I have a strong approach. I'm looking for certain pitches. And then for about a 3-week period, I'm like, bro, it's like they know what I'm looking for. Like, I just don't get anything I'm looking for. I'm constantly looking for, like, I'm looking, like, all right, I do this one, I do this well. Let me look for this pitch. Never getting my pitch. And I'm like, what is going on? And I had to sit down with the pitching coach. He had to break down, like, hey, these two numbers here are glaring numbers. Like, you're so good at it that no matter if the pitcher has a strength in that, he's not going to throw it for a strike.
Right.
And now I had to realize I have to work on these other pitches because I was dominant in that. I'm not going to get that. Now I got to start working on other things to make myself a better hitter.
Definitely. I mean, like it goes back to that cat and mouse game. Like,
yes.
Especially as you get to higher levels, man. If you have one glaring weakness or one glaring strength, like you're going to get abused by it. Like it just is what it is. Like you got to figure out a way through practice to challenge yourself and make those weaknesses your strengths and those strengths stay your strengths, you know?
Yes. Yep. And that's what we were talking before, like for the young guys to understand yourself, especially hitters, because in that process, it'll give you a better understanding of what you do well, but also too, when people recognize what you don't do well, you got to get in there and challenge that.
100%, man. Well, I think that's great. I think that's great advice. You know, one thing I've been kind of asking everybody because you know I love baseball. I love being around. That's why I started this. Hopefully, you know, even when I'm done playing, I can still be involved at least in some way in helping kids, and you know, talking to my guys and talking to you know younger players even coming up. But what do you think like the state of the game is right now? We obviously have the big World Series, Dodgers, Yankees, big market teams, great for the game.
Yes.
What do you think we can do maybe, and what do you think might be the issue with like getting people involved in this game and watching and being a part of it?
I think one of the things, like in my opinion, is we're doing a better job of it, but just letting number one the players be themselves. Like we're doing a better job of it lately because you can get to know the players. They can kind of be a little more expressive, and you get to like lock into their journey. I think the second thing really is like us personally, like getting our stories and our messages out there so people get a better understanding of what it's like and like the game, because it's so complex with the different levels and the long days and the long years. So I think as players and as baseball, to help market the players and help bridge the gap between kind of players and the culture, like our personal lives, so people can remember that we're people and they could root for the person as well as the player.
Right, 100%, man. I hope some people watching this can kind of take away and you know, got to be bigger fans of you know, and kind of understand, you know, who Josh is, what he's about, and kind of what took place to get you to where you are now, man.
Yeah. But, and same with you, like, it's our stories, like what it takes to make it to the major leagues. I don't think a lot of people really understand to begin with. And then when you get there, it's a lot of like, baseball's a little more old school, where it's just like they haven't really bridged the gap in terms of social media and like just people understanding what it takes and who the player is and their story, so that they can kind of root for the guy. Because you see it in basketball, you see it in football. We don't see as much in baseball yet, but we're working 100%. On it.
I think it's getting better, man. I do, and I agree with you. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on here. That was really cool conversation. Hopefully, we can help some kids out with this, and we can grow the game, like you're saying, man. I hope.
Oh yeah.
I want this thing to be, way much a lot better than it is now for my kids.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
And hopefully it continues in that direction, and we can keep working on it. But I appreciate
you're doing the right work, man. You're doing the right work.
Yeah,
this is
definitely.
great.
thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun. So I appreciate you guys.